Okay, hello everyone. This is going to be an interesting video because I thought my camera was fully charged and it is at 33%. Fuck me. So, it's supposed to be a first impressions of the GhostFace, not collection, but the GhostFace powder products, mostly from Glamlite. If you watch me, if you know me, also by the way, hello, I have pink hair now. I am not looking the best because I have not done my hair yet today because I could not be bothered, frankly, but yes, my hair is pink and I'm obsessed. I'm fully obsessed. And also I have a new nose piercing. So I'm a new woman. And I'm so excited to play with this collection. The Black Friday sale for Glamlite is happening right now. There is a potential that I may buy the other two Halloween/horror collections. I'm not 100% sure, but if you watch me or have watched me for a while, you will know that I love horror. I love horror movies. I'm going to watch a horror movie tonight. And also, Scream is one of my all-time favorites. I love Scream so much. I don't find it that scary, but as like a satire horror movie, I think it's, number one, it's so iconic. It's just one of the most iconic. And it's just done so well. I've seen it so many times. I love it. I love it so much. And so I was so excited to see. I guess this is technically like a GhostFace collab. I'm not entirely sure. I'm not up to date on my new horror, to be honest. So I'm not 100% sure if like this is relevant to like, is Ghostface Lives like a new kind of like movie that's coming out? I'm not entirely sure, but I guess it's technically a Ghostface collab, but we all know it's from Scream. And so this is the color story of the palette. If it looks a little banged up, it's because I've already done all my swatches, so up close swatches and eye swatches with this. But I did get shots of the palette before I touched it. So it's a very, very gray toned. However, it is more dimensional and surprisingly more colorful than I initially thought. I also bought the blush and the highlight. So this is the highlight duo. Technically, what is it called? I think just the Ghostface like highlight duo. The thing about this is that for me, these shades are magnificent. Also, my mirror has just been in the way this whole time. Professional, as always. These shades for me, beautiful. I love them. For so many people, they are not going to be super easy to wear. They're really light and really icy. And there is a sheerness to them, but if you have a really deep skin tone, these shades aren't realistically likely going to be the most flattering. So this is always my issue with face products, and specifically face products like this in a collection. They're never going to work for everyone. It just is what it is. Except in the case of the blush, which I love, this blush is likely going to work for everyone. A bright red blush. I think it makes a lot of sense, and I also just love red blush, and so I was like, of course I want to buy this. And also the packaging, I just love it. I have the Chucky palette from last year. I don't have the blush duo, but I might also buy that during the Black Friday sale. I'm not sure. I'm really trying to not buy anything from Black Friday, but the Glamlite Black Friday sale was like the one thing that I might allow myself to get, because horror and makeup, it's like the most winning combination for me. Like, I can't even emphasize it enough. So I'm just gonna do a little swatch of the palette, as I always do some live swatches. And I do really like Glamlite's formula as well. I have the Chucky palette and the Scooby-Doo palette. I also have the two Michaela palettes, but I have not used them yet. So that's what it is. Okay, so starting with the first shade. The first shade in this palette is called Midnight Robe, which is a really beautiful, sparkly, metallic silver. Then we have the shade Movie Night, which is an off-white gray. It's a really, really, really light gray matte. Then we have the shade Sharpest Knife, which is a duochrome. Oops, I almost swatched that directly over. It's really, really beautiful, sparkly, and unique. It's like a purple blue duochrome with like a gray base. It's so pretty. I really like Glamlite's. Honestly, I like Glamlite's formula really like a lot. Mattes and shimmers. The next shade is the shade Ghostly Gray, which is a pretty blue-toned, mid-toned gray matte. You can see it's quite blue-toned. Then we have the shade Masked Mystery, which is a black metallic. Then we have the shade Shadows Back, which is a mid-toned taupe. It's like a taupey brown with almost the slightest, it's like a gray-green kind of tone almost. Maybe not so green. No, there's like a touch of green in there, for sure. But it's like a taupe. Maybe I'll zoom in a little bit. Oh my god, my camera's gonna die! And then we have the shade Mirror Gleam, which is such a beautiful shade. This is so unique. It's like a gray toned green with a pink shine to it, and the green is actually quite bright. So it really does add quite a lot of interest to this palette, and is quite unexpected and really unique. And then we have the shade Chilled Frost, which is a kind of, again, like greeny toned taupe. It's like a greeny toned taupe, light greeny toned taupe, I would say. And then we have the shade GhostFace Lives. This, I have the same issue with this in the Chucky palette. I feel like there are too many similar black and grays. So this is one of like the shades that's a matte with shimmer, which I don't inherently hate. I just use them as mattes. I don't really care, to be honest, if there are sparkles throughout my look because I do dramatic makeup anyway. So if there's errant sparkles here and there, I really don't mind. But it's basically a matte, like deep to mid-toned gray with multicolored sparkles. And then we have the shade Curfew Hour, which is a navy blue. In the pan, it looks like a dark gray, but it's definitely a navy blue, which I think is such a smart choice for this palette. And then we have the shade Pure Ghost Face, which is a purpley toned, grayed out kind of mid-tone shade, matte. And then we have the shade Halloween Icon, which is a deeper gray, almost like a pretty neutral gray, I would say. And then we have the shade Vengeful Spirit, which is a metallic taupe. So pretty. I love metallic taupes, super sparkly as well. And then we have the shade Total Suspense, which is a matte black with a ton of silver sparkle. Again, not my favorite, and not my favorite that the last shade in this palette is the shade Vintage Mask, which is a matte black. This was my exact same complaint with the Chucky palette because in my mind, mattes with sparkle and regular mattes are basically the same. I just never see the point of doing a matte with sparkle and then a matte black. That's like basically the same. Essentially, to me, these are the two of the same shades. And so that is a little annoying. You could have put a different shade in there because it's like taking away a shade. Otherwise, apart from that, I think that this palette is honestly surprisingly interesting of a color story. If you like cool tones and you like grays. I don't know, like, I just feel like if you like cool tones, there's such a variety of cool tones in this palette. And it's not just all grays. You have different tones of gray, you have different tones of taupe, you have a navy, you have also some interesting duochromes. Like, I actually think that this palette got more of a bad rep than it deserved, because I think it's so much more interesting and so much more dynamic in terms of color story and the looks that you're going to be able to do with it. It's not just like a monochromatic gray palette that has similar tones of grays. Like, there's so much tonal variety in the cool tones in this palette that honestly, when I first got it and started swatching it, I was so pleasantly surprised, and I'm really, really excited to create looks with this. So, yay, good job, Glamlite. Hey friends, we are back with another voiceover eye swatching edition. We're going to start with the shade Midnight Robe. I have sped these clips up to save on time. This is a metallic silver with a ton of silver sparkle. It's a little bit deeper, almost like a gunmetal-y silver. And really, really beautiful, very typical of Glamlite's shimmer formula. This is me wetting the brush now. Previously, the shade was dry, and now I'm going to intensify it with my finger. Then we have the shade Movie Night, which is a matte, like really, really light gray. I find this to be pretty neutral of a gray. It's not super blue toned or green or purple. It's kind of just like a pretty neutral gray. Quality wise, it was really, really nice. It built to a really beautiful opacity, even though it is quite a light shade. Next up, we have the shade Sharpest Knife, which is a duochrome. As I described it in the live swatches, it's a really sparkly blue, purple, metallic duochrome shade with almost like a grayish base. I don't find it to be 100% opaque, especially compared with the shade that, like the first shimmer in the palette, Midnight Robe. It's a little bit sheer, has a gray base, but I think it's really, really, really unique and beautiful. That's this dry. Now I'm wetting my brush. And now I'm using my finger to intensify it. Next up, we have the shade Ghostly Gray. This is a matte, mid-toned, really blue-toned gray, so you can see the difference in the fact that this is definitely leans bluer rather than being a completely neutral gray. Quality-wise, it's really nice. It built up beautifully. It was opaque. It wasn't patchy, and I find this to be kind of a unique shade. Then we have the shade Masked Mystery. This is a metallic black. It has a ton of like multicolored like rainbow sparkle to it, so I think it's really, really beautiful. This is the shade Dry at first. Now I'm going to wet the shade, and when it's wet and built up, it almost looks like wet on the eye. It almost looks like a cream black. I think it's really unique in that aspect. Then we have the shade Shadows Back, starting the second row. This is a matte, almost greeny taupe. I really feel like there's just a slight bit of green pigment to this matte taupe. And quality-wise, again, it built up really opaque and beautiful. Then we have another shimmer. This is the shade Mirror Gleam. Really, really unique, really beautiful. This is another duochrome. It's like a grass green base with a pink shimmer or like a pink shift. And again, really sparkly. I am obsessed with this shade. I think it's so unique and so pretty. So now I'm going to wet my brush. And then intensify it with my finger. Then we have the shade Chilled Frost. This is a light matte taupe. Again, almost has like a touch of green to it. Not overly obvious, but I really feel like there's like a slight greeniness. And again, for being such a light shade, it really built up super beautifully and was really opaque. Then we have the shade GhostFace Lives. This is one of the first of the like matte shadows with sparkle in it. It's the shade itself is a kind of like deeper neutral gray. Maybe a touch of blue. And I typically use these shades just as mattes. But when you really pack them onto the lid, then you really get the most of the sparkle, which is why I'm going to intensify it with my finger here. Then we have the shade Curfew Hour. This is a true matte. It's a navy blue. It looks a little gray in the pan, but it's definitely a deep navy. And it's really, really beautiful. Then the last row we have the shade Pure GhostFace. This is a matte gray purple. I would say it's more, to me, more of like a purple that's really gray toned rather than a gray that's really purple toned, if that makes any sense. And quality wise, again, really opaque, really beautiful. Then we have the shade Halloween Icon. This is a neutral gray. That's pretty much all I have to say about it. It's a matte, and quality-wise, again, builds up to be really opaque and really nice. Then we have the shade Vengeful Spirit. This is a metallic. This is pretty opaque. It's a metallic taupe. I would say this is a pretty true taupe in terms of it doesn't lean super purple or green or anything. It's just a taupe, and it's really sparkly and really beautiful. Then I'm going to wet my brush and intensify with my finger. Then we have the shade Total Suspense. This is a matte black shadow with sparkle. Again, not my favorite formula ever. I don't hate it. I typically just use these as mattes. But you can see the sparkle most when you pack it on to the lid. And then I'm going to intensify it with my finger to showcase the sparkle. And then the last shade in the palette is the shade Vintage Mask, which is just a matte black, but as matte blacks go, it's really, really nice. And that concludes the eye swatches. Okay, it's the next day because my camera died. However, it doesn't matter to you. So I am going to start with using the highlighter. What I'm going to do, I think, is just like do one on both sides and then mix them together. I did already ruin the imprint on them because I've done my swatches, but they're so cute. And so I'm going to Ooh, this is pinky, so this is the top one. Interesting. I thought it was going to be just icy white. Okay. And then this is the bottom one. I wipe my brush off. And so this is more neutral. It's not even really like gold or silvery, it's just like pretty neutral. Still both very light. The pink one is definitely more sheer, and this is a little bit more opaque. And so now I'm gonna go over both sides with the other. I love them both. Definitely for light, I would say light skin tones, because they're both quite light highlighters. But I'm also not the best person to judge what's going to work on deep to medium to deep skin tones, because I'm so far on the one spectrum. I really, really do like Glamlite's highlighter formula though. This feels similar to the Scooby-Doo highlighter duo. I have, for reference, this is the Scooby-Doo highlighter duo. There's the pink one and the green one. These feel similar. This pink one is a little bit more opaque and less shiny. This is really sparkly and a little bit more sheer, so it kind of gives me similar vibes. I also, for reference, have the Michaela highlighter, and this is very different. This reminds me more of like a Super Shock highlighter. This highlighter duo reminds me of the Scooby-Doo one, if you've tried them, for your reference. Okay, so now I'm going to use the blush. This is the red blush. My cream blush today is the Melt Blushlight in the shade Daydreamer. If you are curious, I love red blush so much. I'm going to take a small amount and build this up on my cheeks. And red blush, I feel like, is such a perfect blush shade just in general, because it's going to work for everyone regardless of skin tone, like truly. I feel like if there's one truly universal makeup product, it's like red blush, aside from clear lip gloss, but a color product. Even I know it can be intimidating if you have really light skin, but if you go, red blush can be intimidating, but if you go in with a really light hand, it just looks so like rosy and cute. I love it. And I'm all for more blush. I think we all should be wearing just so much blush. I mean, oh, I don't know why there's a line on my nose, but it is what it is. So, and it's really easy to blend, even being such a intense blush product. So far from me, 10 out of 10 for the face products. And this is my first time putting these on my face. I have already done eye swatches of the palette. So let's zoom in even more and do a little look. So I want to do something that really plays into the colorful, quote unquote, shades. I want to show everyone that we can still do colorful looks even with this palette. So I'm going to excuse me, I'm not going to shart. I'm going to start with the shade Total Suspense. Oh my god, what an unfortunate slip up. Okay. That's hilarious. Okay. So this is a matte with shimmer, which honestly, for black and stuff and like packing on shades, I don't even hate, because some part of me is like, it's kind of fun to like, you know? I don't know if you know. Kind of fun to have just like extra sparkle. So I'm going to do a halo eye today. I have kind of a vision in my mind. I'm going to pack this on my inner and outer corners and very low through my crease, because I'm going to blend this out with the navy blue. And I have a tendency to blend black like all the way up to my brows, and I don't want to do that today. So I'm going to take it like even lower than my brain wants me to. Okay, now I'm going to take the shade Curfew Hour, which is this navy blue that really looks like a dark gray, but it's a blue for sure. I'm going to blend the edges of this out. And by the way, I primed my eyes with the Fenty Beauty Pro Filter Amplifying Eyeshadow Primer. And then I'm going to take the shade Ghostly Gray because this is a pretty blue toned gray. Oh, wrong brush. I'm going to blend this out even more. So far, all the shades are working beautifully. And then finally, I'm just going to blend the edges of everything with the shade Movie Night, which is a really light gray. Okay, now I'm going to do my lower lash line. I'm going to keep it all the same, but I'm going to not take the black or really any of the dark mattes in the middle. I want to keep the middle totally separate. So this is the shade Total Suspense. And then blend it out with the shade Curfew Hour, which is the navy blue. Taking Ghostly Gray and blending this out as well. And then taking Movie Night and blending the very edges. Okay, so I think actually because I haven't done this in a really long time. Am I filming still? Yes. I want to cut the center of my crease here, or like really like kind of make like a cutout of my eyelid just in the center to make it a little bit more defined. I just have been doing like really unstructured halo eyes for a while, and I feel like doing something a little bit different today. So here we go. I will be back. So it's not even, but it is as good as we are going to get it. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take a little bit more of Total Suspense, which is the black, intensify this in my inner and outer corners. Take a little bit of Curfew Hour and blend this, stamp this on the edge of where I cut my crease. I'm also going to take the tiniest touch of Curfew Hour. Actually, I'm going to take that on an even tinier brush. This is a Cosmic Brushes CB4. And just blend this over the edge. And then take a teeny brush, a tiny little brush, and take the black and go over the edge, the very edge of where I cut my crease, to define it a little bit more. Now I'm going to take some NYX glitter primer and put this in the center of my lids where I cut my crease. Or not, it's not even really cutting my crease, like where I just put concealer basically. And then I'm going to take the two duochromes. I'm going to take the shade Sharpest Knife on the inner and outer parts of my eye and the shade Mirror Gleam in the center. So this is the shade Sharpest Knife, which is a purple to blue duochrome. And then take Mirror Gleam, which is by far and away my favorite shade in the palette, and put this in the center. Oh, that's so pretty. I actually feel like they go together better than I thought because they both have like a pinky, purpley kind of shift to them. And then I'm going to take Sharpest Knife and Mirror Gleam on my fingers. Look at those. So pretty. And intensify them on my eye. See, look at the difference. Oh yeah. Now I'm going to take Masked Mystery, which is the metallic black. I'm just going to take that on my finger and tap this on the inner and outer, very inner and outer parts of my eye. I'll also do that on my lower lash line. Now, for my lower lash line, I'm going to take some NYX glitter primer just on my maybe just on my finger and place that right in where the gap is. And I'm gonna bring that pretty far down. And then I'm going to take the shade Midnight Robe, which is the silver, and place that in the center of my lower lash line where I put the glitter primer, and again, bring that far down. It's maybe not as precise as I envisioned it, but that's okay. It is what it is. And then for my brow bone, there's not really anything in the palette that I want to use. So I'm going, I found my brush. I'm going to take the bottom one, the bottom shade from the highlighter duo, and just place this on my brow bone. Okay, so I did a little line on my eyes with this is actually my roommate's. It's the NYX Epic Wear Waterproof Liner in the eye and body liquid liner in the shade White. I don't know how I feel, but I think I'm gonna like it more when my lashes are on. I'm going to leave the eyes here. I'm going to finish up the rest of my face and be back to show you the finished look and give you my thoughts on the palette. Okay, and this is the finished look. I just want to make sure my mirror is not in the way. So did I do anything else? No, I just added freckles, and on my lips I have the NYX lip liner in Espresso, the Danessa Myricks Color Fix Nudes in the shade Nude 3, and the Essence Clear Lip Gloss on top, and I love this look. I love this look so much. I haven't been creative with makeup in a little bit. I meant to film this week and I just never got around to it, and it's just like, ugh, there's just nothing like it. I'm so happy with how it turned out. And this palette, like you can see, it's definitely colorful. Like it's not bright, but it's blue and like it's definitely a navy grungy blue. And I just feel like I wanted to, I mean, don't get me wrong, it's gonna be cool toned, it's gonna be grayish toned for pretty much 100% of the looks you're gonna do, but I think there's a lot of variety of cool tone looks you can get. As you can see, very dramatic and still colorful looks, especially if you put like this shade all over the lid, the shade Mirror Gleam. It's gonna be like really unique and interesting. I definitely don't have any shade like this in my collection, and I'm really happy that I have these makeup items in my collection. I love the highlighter, I love the blush. This is the first time I'm trying a powder blush, as if I've tried a cream blush. This is the first time I'm trying a blush from Glamlite, and surprise, surprise, I love it. I mean, all their powder products are honestly really beautiful, and you know me, and there's just like something about like horror makeup is like, oh, my two loves coming together, and I'm so into it. I really want the Friday the 13th and the Nightmare on Elm Street collections. I might end up buying them. We'll see, but I just love also that they chose a red blush to go with it, and even I think it fits the theme like just itself. You know, if you had this as the one item from the collection that you chose, or just as an individual makeup product, you know, it's like ties in with the red on the packaging, all that kind of stuff. But also I really like the combination of the cool tones in this palette and the red blush. I think it's such a beautiful combination. Formula wise, the palette is really nice. The shimmers are really beautiful. The mattes, at least the ones that I've used, I have eye swatched them all. It's always a little bit different to use them in looks, but the ones I've used and have been really beautiful, and all of them performed very beautifully in eye swatches. The only really big complaint that I have with this palette is that there is this matte with shimmer black and then a matte black. Oops, I just feel like it's so unnecessary, and you could have and should have, in my opinion, chosen a different shade, because it's basically like there's two matte blacks. And as much as I love a matte black in a palette, I'm an advocate for a matte black in a palette almost 100% of the time. Definitely don't need two of the exact same shade, especially when it's a 15 shade palette. It's like a good amount of shades, but not like 40. Anyway, you get what I'm saying. That's my one complaint, but otherwise I love it. I'm so happy to have created this look, played with this palette, have this like collection of makeup products in my makeup collection. I hope you enjoyed, and let me know if you bought this or if you're a fan of horror as well, like me. Let me know if you've watched Scream. Let's just chit chat in the comments about makeup and horror. Thank you so much for watching, and I would love to see you in my next video. Bye guys.